Today we will be making banana bread, and the sugar that we'll be using is granulated sugar. Step 1. Gather your ingredients. 1 1/4 cups flour. 3 very ripe bananas, the riper the better. 8 tablespoons butter. 2 eggs. 1 teaspoon baking soda. 1 cup sugar. Half a teaspoon salt. Step 2. Preheat the oven. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees, then hit start. Step 3. Cream together the butter and sugar. Add the 1 cup sugar and 1 stick of butter to your mixing bowl. Save the butter wrapper, we will be using it later in the recipe. The butter will mix best if it's softened, so make sure you let it sit out for at least an hour before you use it. I like to break my butter stick into smaller pieces and then slowly work it into the sugar. This step takes a few minutes, so be patient and make sure the butter is fully mixed in with the sugar. If your butter is still hard, this step will take a little bit longer. Step 4. Stir in eggs and bananas. Start by taking the bananas and breaking them up into smaller pieces. This will make it much easier for you to mash. Next, we are going to add the eggs. Crack each egg into a separate bowl before adding it to the mixture. This way, if we have a bad egg, we won't ruin the entire mixture. Once the eggs are cracked, add them to the mixture. Use a fork to mash the bananas up. Mash them until there are no more banana chunks and the eggs are fully mixed in. Step 5. Slowly mix in salt, baking soda, and flour. Step 6. Prepare the baking dish. Using your PAM spray, spray all 4 sides and the bottom of your loaf pan. Then grab your butter wrapper and wipe down the entire pan. This will help make sure all the sides are covered with spray, and it will help make sure the bread doesn't stick to your pan. Next, add your batter. Step 6. Time to bake. Your bread will take between 40 and 50 minutes to bake. Place your bread in the oven and set your timer for 40 minutes. Once the timer goes off, take your bread out, and using a fork, you're going to check and see if your bread is finished. If it's done, your fork will come out clean. If it does not come out clean, pop it back in the oven for a few more minutes. Next, take a knife around the outside of your bread to make sure it's not going to stick to the sides. Then place it on a cooling rack and let it cool for at least 10 minutes in the pan. If you try to take it out early or too soon, the bread will crumble and stick to the pan. Step 7. Flipping over your bread. Once your bread is cool, you're going to flip it over onto the cooling rack. To know that you did it right, your bread should come out in one solid piece and it shouldn't stick to the bottom of the pan. Then you can flip it back over to the bottom. Once your bread is cooled, you can cut it up and serve it to your group. Now remember, your bread takes a minimum of 40 minutes to bake and 10 minutes to cool. So make sure your group is working diligently and keeping track of the time to make sure you have enough time to eat and clean up at the end of class. Now I'm going to show you what happens if you don't wait the 10 minutes to let your bread cool. As you can see, when I try to flip my bread over, some of it's going to stick to the bottom of the pan. Then when I try to flip the bread over, it's going to crumble. So please make sure you're patient. There are many different ways to make banana bread. Check out some of these cool ways.